Alrighty, everyone. As I'm back here with the guys, appreciate y'all for watching this. We will be doing live stream coverage going forward on YT. You guys know where that's at. I talked about it in another video earlier. Make sure y'all are subscribed over there. We will be posting here and over there on daily as well for you guys that are in both areas, so just be mindful of that. We've got a lot of severe weather to talk about. We got a significant severe weather risk today, and then a bigger risk tomorrow where we could potentially maybe even see a small scale derecho, quote unquote, with tornado driven risk as well with that. So we got a lot happening today, a lot happening tomorrow. We do have another risk zone on our day 3, and that was going to be for Tuesday, but as of right now, Tuesday doesn't look to be too big of a deal. It looks to be today and tomorrow more than anything. So make sure you guys do tune in that. The live coverage on YT will be tonight at 6 p.m., so make sure y'all are over there. Links in my bio for that as well. That way we can get everybody on going over there as far as going forward with everything with stream and stuff. Also, guys, if you haven't yet, check out the merch website. It's up and brand new. There's about 15 to 20 different items already today. So make sure you guys go on there and look at it. We've got a bunch of cool stuff. We've got baby clothing on there now. We've got onesies for kiddos. We've got just shirts, hats, hoodies, t-shirts. We've got Cougars. We've got wine tumblers. We got a lot of stuff. We've got cups as well. We've got tumblers on there in general. We got a lot of stuff coming, license plates, all that kind of stuff. So go on there, check out the merch shop, guys. Would really love to have the support if you guys do like and continue to watch me. That's one good way to support as well as anything else. But other than that, guys, we'll go ahead and dive into this here. Like I said, I appreciate y'all for watching this. As always, if you have questions on anything, comment, and we will get into this here. And you can see on the screen, we have a marginal and a slight risk of severe weather in 2 different areas today. We've actually got a marginal risk ongoing right now here in the Northeast corridor. Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York. You guys got a couple warnings out right now for some wind and hail. There's a marginal risk of severe weather over here on the eastern side of the coastline. Wind and hail, like I said, the main priorities for that. And then we've got a small marginal risk over here for monsoon season continuing to kick off over here into Arizona. Marginal risk with this wind and hail will be the primary threats. Now, we got 2 different slight areas today. We already have a severe thunderstorm watch that is active for much of the Ohio Valley Midwest here. And this is going to be for wind. You can see the remnants of a line of storms that's continuing to work its way east. There's really not been a lot of warnings on these yet today. We're going to be watching for more storms to fire off back here west of Chicago later on this afternoon into tonight. I do think we're going to have another full-fledged MCS develop with a potential tornado risk that does develop after 6 p.m. tonight, hence on why we're going live at 6 p.m. But be mindful if you're over here into Iowa, into parts of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, all the way down here into Illinois and Indiana, and Ohio overnight tonight, we could see a Boeing MCS develop, and then we're going to have another Boeing MCS develop with a tornado and wind and hail potential up here again into North Dakota, western Minnesota, and northeastern South Dakota. So be mindful of that on both areas. Tornado, wind, and hail threat will be there tonight. Now, there is a question mark with tomorrow's risk zone. We are expecting basically the same threat for tomorrow, except we're also going to be seeing a higher risk zone. We do have an enhanced risk for severe weather tomorrow, and there is a higher tornado risk and a higher wind threat. And I think the wind threat for tomorrow is going to be a lot bigger. You do see that level 3 out of 5 risk zone there for Des Moines, Iowa, Davenport, Cedar Rapids, Chicago, Bloomington, Indianapolis, just north of that, Fort Wayne, Logansport, South Bend. This is a 30% hatched wind risk for tomorrow, meaning we could see wind gusts over 75 miles an hour with a Boeing line segment that develops at some point tomorrow. There'll be QLCS embedded tornadoes. It's basically tornado spin-ups inside that line. You can't really predict those very well. They happen, and they can cause destruction. They can also cause a lot more wind intensity as well with those spin-ups. And so be mindful of that. We have a 5% tornado risk in the maroon there, and then a 2% outside of that. And then we'll have a 30% hatched wind risk, and that 30% hatched wind risk for tomorrow, or no, this is the tornado risk. The 5% tornado risk in the maroon, 2% tornado risk in the green there, and then the wind threat for tomorrow is going to be the main threat. 30% hatched and 15% hatched. In that hatched area, wind gust over 75 miles an hour will be possible, and then outside of that, 60 to 75 mile an hour winds in the slight risk outside the hatched. And then over here, we have another slight risk into parts of the Rockies over here, northeast Colorado, eastern Wyoming, western Nebraska, and northwestern tip there of Kansas. And so be mindful of that. Wind and hail will be the primary threats. Not really looking at a tornado risk, but we could see a spin-up tornado. Hail risk is going to be a 5% tomorrow. So tomorrow is really going to be a wind and tornado risk. And I do think if things continue to trend up a little bit, there could be the potential for a maybe upgraded moderate risk. And we'll talk about that in stream tonight over on YT if that does happen more, if we start to see the concerning effect of that as far as that goes with the trends. Now, tomorrow, what does that look like? And today, what does that look like from the future cast? Well, we'll go ahead and pull up the latest 12Z HER model run here, and we'll talk about what tomorrow, or not what tomorrow, but what today is going to look like as far as things go here. And we'll start up here in the Northern Plains where we've got North Dakota, Montana, and Minnesota in the factor for today. And you can see late tonight is going to be the initiation period for these storms here. We get these storms well after 11 p.m. to midnight due to that strong capping inversion, just kind of like we saw yesterday where we had storms fire off late. We had a couple of 90-mile-an-hour severe thunderstorm warnings in South Dakota last night with wind damage. So be mindful of that. That was outside of Rapid City, South Dakota last night. So I don't think we're looking at anything like that again, but there could be a potential spin-up tornado. The damaging winds could be 75 or higher, I think, in some areas. Locally, 60 to 75 will be the factor. And then over here tonight, we're going to be talking about another area of damaging winds that develops, and this could be pretty interesting tonight to see how this develops. I do think we could even potentially get a last-minute upgrade to enhance with this today, potentially with the Boeing line segment that could develop, and this is strictly between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. tonight. It was initiation around that time frame, and then this will work its way east overnight tonight and kind of fall apart by midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning as it gets into Illinois and parts of Ohio tonight. So that is through tonight. Tomorrow, what does this look like? Well, tomorrow morning, you're going to be waking up in the Minnesota area, Minneapolis area. You're going to have storms. You're going to have severe storms potentially firing off already at 7 o'clock in the morning from the leftover remnants of that MCS that comes through North Dakota and South Dakota tonight. And so what does this do tomorrow morning is what is going to make tomorrow's severe weather threat in the Midwest and Northern Ohio Valley either boom or bust. And we could see the remnants of that line continue to work its way through Wisconsin and eastern Iowa all the way to noon tomorrow. If this kind of falls apart sooner, you get more instability in the atmosphere, you get more spin, you get all of your dynamics to come together before late afternoon happens tomorrow, and we could have a more larger scale wind and tornado event potentially happen tomorrow. Some of the models are showing a moderate risk with a 10% tornado risk in the CSU update this afternoon. Some are showing that, potential maybe even small scale derecho setup. I wouldn't say derecho is going to happen. I would say we'd have a pretty big wind event with a pretty intense line of thunderstorms coming through. And then how does this work tomorrow? You can see storms firing off here east of Des Moines, Iowa tomorrow, working their way through Cedar Rapids, Davenport, and then this will grow upscale into potentially a line of storms and then work their way east overnight. We'll have more storms fire off in Davenport. So tomorrow looks to be a pretty intense and interesting day as far as severe weather goes. And you can see over here in the central and northern plains, we could see storms firing off tomorrow night as well with severe wind and hail. But we're really going to be talking more about the Midwest and Northern Ohio Valley and Chicago suburbs tomorrow and covering you guys. And then as we go into your Tuesday forecast, you can see just a mess of heavy rainfall, maybe some isolated severe weather from the central plains all the way up to the northeast coastline. We'll talk more about that in tomorrow's video as far as things go with that. I do want to talk to you guys as far as what the full-scale model runs are showing. We'll go and we'll look at the latest European model run for today. This is as of noon this afternoon. You can kind of see where our storm system is at. And we do have a high-pressure system still right over top of the Rockies, continuing to bring that excessive heat, dangerous heat ongoing in parts of the Rockies, West Pacific, West Coast as well. California has just been absolutely pummeled with 100-degree temperatures. So be mindful if you're still over there. Make sure you watch how long you're outside for. Make sure you drink water, have sunscreen, all that kind of stuff. It's typical summertime stuff. Here's our storm system for the next 3 days. And this is going to continue to bring a low off of Canada. This is going to bring a zonal jet stream, a radial jet stream, whatever you really want to call it. For my meteorology nerds out there. But this is going to work its way east and then eventually go into the Great Lake area tomorrow where we have that bigger wind threat and tornado risk setup. And then as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, that exits the coast. And then after that, guys, going into the weekend, we may not have really a lot to talk about as we go past Wednesday, which would be super, super awesome. High pressure dominating over there still in the Rockies. We actually will have a pretty small cool down develop, so we could see temperatures drop down into the low 80s, upper 70s for a lot of people in the Ohio Valley, Southeast, potentially Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and Northern Plains. And then once we get into next week, we'll talk more about what's going to happen with that, but I don't see a lot happening for at least right now for the third week of July. And we could see general thunderstorms with daytime heating events kind of happen in general. But as far as the overall pattern goes, this is going to be a little bit of a different swing as we go into the last week and potential last 2 weeks of July, hopefully. And then as we go into August, you can see things potentially start to change down the road here. What does the models look like as far, what is the European showing as far as precip goes? Just over the next couple of days, you can see those storms moving through the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and Northern Plains and Central Plains. And then as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, like we were just talking about, we'll probably still have general thunderstorms that develop over the time period of the end of next weekend for that third week of July. And then going forward past that, not a lot going on in the Ohio Valley. It still looks to be general thunderstorms continue throughout down in the Gulf states, Southeast, North Carolina down to Florida, over into southern Gulf of Mexico. We'll be watching that for you guys. And then as we go into that third official week of July, you can still see not really organized. And if that happens, we'd get a break, and that would be super, super awesome as far as things go. But you guys know every time I say that, things change. So we're going to hope for the best as far as the future for the weather goes for the rest of July. Other than that, guys, I'm going to leave it at that for you guys. We'll talk more about what's going to happen tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Once again, if you guys are not subbed on YT, make sure y'all go over there because that is where the live stream is going to be at tonight. We'll be on TikTok here and there when we can. But other than that, guys, we're kind of switching over just a little far as things go. So I will see everybody on the stream tonight. Appreciate y'all for watching this. If y'all have any questions, as always, comment them in the video, but I will see you guys later.